from the cell. Now for example, we are having a plant cell, we are having an animal cell, or we are having a fungal cell. We want to isolate our DNA from this particular cell. Now we are going to first break up the cell wall or the cell membrane so as to get the DNA which is inside these cells. We are going to treat them with various enzymes like cellulases, chitinases, lysozyme to break the peptidoglycan wall. And now these enzymes are going to break up the wall which is present outside. Then the DNA is in close association with other molecules like RNA. The RNA is removed with the help of the enzyme RNases. The protein is going to be removed with the help of the enzyme proteases. And everything else is then initially from the initial decoction is slowly removed, and then the DNA is precipitated in the presence of the chilled ethanol. And now this DNA is cut with the help of the restriction enzyme, which is the second process. The second process is cutting the DNA at the specific point. Cutting the DNA with the help of the restriction enzyme is done very specifically. Whatever DNA you have got in the previous process, that is going to be cut with the help of the restriction enzymes, which is going to cut the DNA at very specific points into various small fragments. Now these fragments are then separated with the help of the gel electrophoresis, in which you are going to load this DNA along with the ethidium bromide, and since DNA is negatively charged, it is going to move towards the positively charged electrode in a size dependent manner. The smaller particles are going to move the farthest, the larger particle is going to move the slowest, and then these separated fragments are going to be separated from the gel, and then they are going to be ligated to the vector, and we get a recombinant molecule. And now this recombinant molecule has to be amplified, or before recombination, this particular DNA, if you want, you can amplify using a technique which is called as PCR. The third method is the polymerase chain reaction, which is also called as PCR. The DNA which you have isolated from the plant cell or the animal cell or the bacterial cell is very less. You have digested it with a restriction enzyme and run it on the gel electrophoresis. The DNA is extracted from there and is very small in concentration. You need to amplify that DNA using polymerase chain reaction or PCR. There are basically two ways of amplifying the DNA. Either you clone that DNA into the vector and put it into the host cell where it is going to amplify and their number is going to increase. And the second method is a polymerase chain reaction or PCR. This technique was developed by the Kary-Mullis. In this, what we do is that we take a test tube. In this test tube, we add the DNA which we want to amplify, and we add the buffer, we add the primer, we add the nucleotides A, T, G and C, and we add the DNA polymerase enzyme, which is a special type of DNA polymerase enzyme called as Taq polymerase. Because very high temperature will be used in the whole PCR reaction and DNA polymerase will degrade, therefore we take a DNA polymerase from a thermophilic microorganism which is called as Thermus aquaticus, and that is called as Taq polymerase for the PCR reaction. Now initially basically PCR is having three steps. The first step is the denaturation step, in which both the strands of the DNA which we want to amplify are separated. You know that the DNA is anti-parallel, that is one strand is going to be from 5' to 3', the other is going to be from 3' to 5', where the complementary bases are attached to each other via 3 or 2 hydrogen bonds. If it is going to be AT, there are going to be 2 hydrogen bonds. If it is going to be GC, there is going to be 3 hydrogen bonds. Then you increase the temperature to 80 degrees centigrade. At this high temperature, these hydrogen bonds will be broken and both the strands are going to get separated. This step is called as denaturation. The second step is called as annealing. Now in annealing, what will happen is that the primer which you have added is going to bind such that there is free 3' hydroxyl end. What are primers? Primers are nothing but the oligonucleotides of 5 to 8 nucleotide sequences which are complementary to the DNA which you want to amplify. They are going to join to the single stranded DNA in such a way that it always has the free 3' hydroxyl end. Now the last step, the third step after the annealing is the extension step. Now in the extension step, the nucleotides which have been added into the buffer, they are going to be added on the basis of the complementarity. So by the end of this process, from one strand, you will get 2 double-stranded DNA, and this process will be repeated multiple times, and with every time the amount of the DNA is going to get doubled. Initially you were having 1 double-stranded DNA, now you are having 2 double-stranded DNA. Simply because of the 3 steps. The first step is denaturation, where both the strands are getting separated. The second step is the primer, where you reduce the temperature so that the primers can hydrogen bond with the DNA. And the third step is extension step, where the Taq polymerase is going to add the complementary nucleotides so that in both the strands, the DNA is extended further, and in the end you are going to have the 2 double-stranded DNA from the single-stranded DNA. So this is one of the way by which you can amplify a very small amount of the DNA which is given. Now this is a vector in which we want to insert the foreign DNA, and finally we want to insert that recombinant molecule into the host cell, and we want to enrich only those host cells which are having the recombinant DNA molecule. So these are the 2 selection markers, that is the ampicillin resistance marker and tetracycline resistance marker, and this is the origin of application which is going to help the plasmid to amplify its number into the host cell. So since the multiple cloning site or the cassette of the restriction site is within the selection marker, if the foreign DNA is going to be inserted at this particular point, the tetracycline resistance gene is going to be interrupted, and thereafter it is going to become tetracycline sensitive. So there could be 3 populations. When this molecule is inserted into the bacteria, there could be 3 outcomes. The bacteria might not take the plasmid at all, or the bacteria takes up the plasmid which is non-recombinant. That means the plasmid just open from here because of the restriction digestion and then closes without taking the foreign DNA. So it is non-recombinant. So in the non-recombinant molecule, the ampicillin resistance gene and tetracycline resistance gene would be intact because it has not been inactivated due to the insertion of the foreign DNA. However, in the recombinant molecule, the one which is having the foreign DNA, the tetracycline resistance gene has been interrupted. So now it is tetracycline sensitive and ampicillin resistance gene remains like that only. Now if we are going to plate these bacterial cells onto a medium which is having the tetracycline, initially we are going to plate them on a medium which is going to have the ampicillin. So this bacteria will not grow because it is not having any gene which is conferring resistance to the antibiotic. So it is going to get eliminated. These 2 population of the bacteria is going to grow. Now because both of them are having the ampicillin resistance gene. For example, the plate develops the colony like 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Which might be having either this bacteria or this bacteria on this plate. Now we are going to make a replica of this ampicillin plate or the plate which is having ampicillin on a plate which is now having the tetracycline. We just take a replica, we take a stamp and we put it on this particular plate which is having the tetracycline, and after 24 hours we observe that the colony 1 grew, colony 3 grew and colony 5 grew. However, the colony 2 and 4 didn't grow here. Why? Because these 2 colonies were perhaps sensitive to tetracycline, therefore they didn't grow here, but they grew here. That means colony 2 and colony 4 were ampicillin resistant but tetracycline sensitive because of the insertion of the foreign DNA in the tetracycline resistance gene. So we have to go back to ampicillin plate and we have to pick up the colony 2 and 4, and these are the colonies which are having the recombinant plasmid. The next process is obtaining the foreign gene product. We all are aware of the central dogma where the DNA is transcribed into RNA and RNA is translated into protein. For example, our protein or product of our interest is a protein. For example, it is insulin. So we have isolated a bacterial cell which is having the genomic DNA and the recombinant plasmid having gene of interest which is coding for insulin. We are going to inoculate this bacteria into big fermenters where they are going to amplify in their number. So we have to optimize various physical conditions like the pH has to be optimum as per the bacteria. The temperature, for example, the temperature which suits the bacteria is between 37 to 40 degrees centigrade. We have to maintain that temperature and time to time we have to check the pH and the temperature so that they do not fluctuate much. Because if they are going to change much, then it is going to affect the viability of the cells. Then the concentration of various salts have to be maintained, that is the osmoregularity has to be maintained. There are various cool jackets, the water jackets are there outside the fermenters, big fermenters, so as to regulate the temperature, and temperature is checked from time to time using the thermometers. Also there is vortex in the center or the mixers in the center so that the medium and the microbes are mixed properly so that they do not settle at the bottom, and also there is a continuous stirring which is taking place and proper aeration or mixing of the gases are taking place. Also there are showers of gases at the bottom of the fermenter which are called as aspergers. And these aspergers, they bubble out the air gases so that the air enters into the fermenter and there is equal supply of the oxygen to the microbes. Because of the continuous stirring, there could be foaming at the top of the fermenter. This foaming is going to prevent the inlet of the gas into the medium. So anti-foaming agents are added to prevent the foaming in the fermenter. So after the required time is complete, this fermentation process will be stopped and then we are going to purify the expressed insulin protein from the fermenter which is called as downstream. The next step of the process of the biotechnology is the downstreaming. Downstreaming is basically the purification process that whatever fermentation we have run, we have to get the final finished product that can be marketed. So, in the fermenter, a protein or a product can be intracellular or it could be extracellular. If it is intracellular, the protein is within the cell. And if it is extracellular, the protein is outside the cell. So in the intracellular and extracellular, we are going to first do the centrifugation. For example, the protein is inside the cell. So we need the cells. So we will do the centrifugation. The cell is going to settle at the bottom and we are going to discard the supernatant because the cells are having our desired protein. So then we take out the cells are going to be lysed, the protein is going to be extracted and purified. However, if it is extracellular, again from the fermentation tank we are going to take the medium, we are going to do the centrifugation, the cell is going to settle at the bottom, but this time our protein is in the supernatant. So we are going to keep the supernatant and we are going to discard the cells. And then we are going to precipitate the protein with the help of a salt and then we are going to purify it with the help of various chromatography. And then we are going to get the pure protein. A very standard example of the protein which we are getting from the biotechnology is insulin. So all in all, in biotechnology, the processes is getting the desired DNA from the cell by opening them, digesting them with various enzymes, then taking out the DNA, cutting it with a restriction enzyme, separating it on a gel, amplifying it with the help of the PCR, combining it with the vector molecule and then transforming it into the host cell, getting the host cell, amplifying, increasing the number of the host cell in the fermenters and getting the finished product and getting the downstreaming done so that final finished product is attained.